Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. We're off on the Christmas fast. I had my last meal on the second day of Christmas yesterday with my family, and I had my last coffee and snooze this morning for the dopamine fast part. I often do it that way, that I start the food part of the fast in the evening before and then have a little bit of coffee and snooze in the morning, because front loading like that, I noticed, just make the first day a whole lot easier without any cost really. So now I just want to tell you a bit my thoughts going into it, what I expect, why do this, and so on, right? So I know I'm gonna call the title of this video something like Going to Hell for the Contrast, because that's a lot what a fast like this is. And actually, do you know that an upside to having an addiction to stimulants like nicotine and caffeine is that you can very much like go to hell. It's easier to reach further depths of hell, So the way I know it works for me with the stimulants is that nicotine is the one that I like really have more of a long-term addiction to, and caffeine is some kind of supporting stimulant, because I noticed that the one time I quit snooze, I didn't want to drink coffee anymore, but when I do it, it's like I want the both of them. But so what I know from experience, because I've done dopamine fasts like this before, is that what happens first is that I'm gonna feel very irritable and lose focus and patience with things because of the nicotine. The caffeine will really just give me a big headache, which it's sort of like I say, it's like I have to go through caffeine withdrawals, but that is more of a like, when that's done, it's done. Nicotine, I know that if I am to try to quit, even after the fast, I'm gonna have moments where, I feel irritable and such. But okay, and I'm wearing way too much clothes right now, like it's not that cold. Our December here has actually been quite alright. It was very cold in November, like -8 around this time, it's like lunchtime. But, on a fast, when you don't eat, your body temperature drops a little bit, and if I'm gonna like motivate myself to go around on this island when I'm in the middle of like stimulant withdrawals, and that it's gonna be nice to be quite warm, right? So yeah, I'm gonna have to arrive sweaty now, but for the sake of the rest of the fast. But so, what I want to tell you, I've done the most extreme dopamine fast I ever did. I went to the very same island and fasted from food and from nicotine and caffeine, but also from screens and actually even electricity all over. I was just making a fire all the time, but I had no screens. So do you understand that I'm by myself, facing withdrawals from these stimulants, but also really nothing to distract myself with. I just have to lean into all this discomfort. And look, this is what people these days, you realize that all these distractions and little rewards, like whether that's, it's different for different people. Like I like my snooze and coffee, but it can be just endlessly scrolling on the phone. It can be eating something. But all of this, on different levels, it's some kind of degree of escaping reality and not being able to just face existence head on the way it is. It is some kind of attempt to not have to feel that uncomfortable feeling or think that uncomfortable thought, whatever can keep you distracted. That's what you're looking for, And I know that my brain is going to conspire during a like, how can we fix this somehow? Is there any coffee around the house? Oh, do you think there's someone on the island that could just take one snooze from, I'm going to have, because what's going to happen. So I would recommend, that's why I say, if you have a dependency of something like nicotine and caffeine, it's like the reward for something like this is just that, well, it's going to suck way more, so the contrast afterwards is going to be way bigger. But I mean that this is something that would be great for a lot of people to do. People don't realize, just because you aren't having like, when you think of addictions, people think mostly of things like substances or eating candy and stuff. But lots of people distract themselves way more than they realize. And when you go away for yourself like that and fast, like, the point is to isolate. And people, this is not an official dopamine fast, it's Christmas fast, of course, but I always suggest that maybe try something like that. Maybe try less screen time, maybe isolate yourself a bit, maybe try one day dry fast or that. But the point is that if you do something like this, you're not distracted by eating, you don't have too much just watching screens and stuff, lots of stuff is going to creep out that you might not even have realized that they were like on your mind, worrying you or weighing you down. But they're always going to, even if you manage to escape, so you're like, oh, I feel good now, I get dopamine now, that's gonna lie and rule you, subconsciously in the background like that. And so a fast like this, it's both, like I say, for the contrast that, I know that I'm going to be feeling like shit. It's going to start in the evening today, and tomorrow is going to be the worst day, and the day after that, that's probably when I'm going to start feeling pretty good. But it is for the contrast that I just know that I will, it's this, everything exists by contrast. No comparison comes to mind now, but I am actually feeling pretty good now, but I can still just see that just imposing this sort of adversity on myself, going through it, I'll feel even better for the contrast afterwards. But it's also time, because I notice that lately, of course, I'm not big on escapism like I used to be huge. That's I'm going to release a video. I'm going to talk about the kinds of escapism and stuff. It is soon, but the point is, I've done a lot of that. I've been drinking, partying, just all the time, finding the way to numb yourself out like that. Of course, I'm much better with that kind of thing now, but I have noticed that it's like, right now, I like to go for a bit more comfort, just by my standards now, spend a bit too much time scrolling on the phone, avoiding certain activities because it's just nice and comfy, just to be, for me, and I feel pretty good during that time. That's how I describe how I feel. But I also know that some weeks ago, I was just going through a little bit of a, dip, right? And so I can kind of see that I wanted to seek some comfort, and now I kind of smoothed that over. I also think it was a bit of a temporary thing, but the point is, there's definitely still something going on, like stressing me, worrying me a little bit. And on a fast like this, you're just going to have to find out, because you removed all distractions, all escapisms, all devices, right? And there's nothing left but you and what's actually going on with you. So I can tell you this, that just because I have that struggle sometimes being like the solopreneur, entrepreneur, doing a kind of one-man business like this, and wanting to be authentic and genuine. Like sometimes I can find myself struggling with the balance that, I want to put out things just to help, but sometimes you feel the pressure that, oh, it is my job, I have to, so, I know I'm thinking about some things I want to change with that. That's definitely something that's going to come up with this. And also, so during Uncommon Sense, I've been in one relationship with a girl I love very much, but it's been on and off, and it's not, it's a complicated situation, It's not because of a lack of love or that someone did something that was like unforgivable. It's just been times like, okay, we need to take a break from this, maybe come back in the future. But so we've been talking a bit, and we're going to talk now. And I just know that because right now I feel good about that no matter what. There's no certain outcome I'm looking for there. But I know all these things around, like think of anything that at certain times, if you think of it, you'd have no problem with it. But then when you're in a tougher spot, you're more overwhelmed, you're more generally, low. Now suddenly a thing that sometimes you don't worry about at all. Now you're going to find some little lingering pain there. So I definitely know, because I'll have nothing to do but to think. So I'm probably going to have to go through and process some things, maybe notice some little things I wasn't quite aware of. And yeah, that's it, really. And then, of course, there's a part, because being a human, especially now, these days when we can kind of take our survival for granted a lot, what was it I wanted to say? Yeah, that, being in a state like that, like really being super bored and kind of suffering from just the withdrawals and stuff, like you definitely have to face just existence, because what is it I'm looking for, trying to say here? Well, I think that's what we escape from a lot in this modern age, is the thought of what is really the meaning, why am I alive? Right now, I'm suffering, I don't know, there's nothing to do about it, and I just have to face it. It's like, what's the point, and things like that. You gotta have to face that sometimes, really think about what the point is. So I don't have many minutes of camera time here left, but basically I'll also do, I have the sauna there, it's an island, so I'll be able to cold plunge, so I'll do some of that, but I might do this kind of intermittent dry fasting. You know, when I've talked about that, it's not either a wet fast or a dry fast. You can do something in between, and especially sometimes just using the sauna a lot, even if you're going to drink water, I'm sure that gives you some of the dry fasting benefits. But I'll probably do something like this, that today I might even not drink anymore first, then drink and take some salts in the morning, you know, do it, that kind of thing. Intermittent dry fast, take the salts and water in the morning, but we'll see. It's not important, it's going to be a bit intuitive like that. But yeah, last thing I'll say, this fast won't be completely screen-free. I have brought my laptop, clearly my phone, right? There are little work things I gotta do, and I'm just gonna, because a big part of this is that I want to do the dopamine fast and actually reduce my use of the stimulants. So, like, you know, whatever supports me, so I can get through that. So if I have, like, for instance, this evening, if I start to get a big headache or something, you know, I'll just have something on a screen, just to allow myself that small bit of distraction, so I can get through that. But I will spend a lot of time just meditating, being on the island, breathing in the fresh archipelago air. Man, I'm sweating like crazy now. There's way too much clothes, and I have to even hurry up because the boat is leaving. I had to leave like this because I thought there was another boat. The next one is in 2 hours. So, well, I gotta go now. Please like and comment. Tell me if you're fasting, how you're gonna do it and stuff. Anything that comes to mind when you saw this video is always interesting to hear. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, guys. You could DM me, email me, DM me on Instagram. Tell you about my different programs. If you're gonna become that man that has that physique, just as a manifestation of the man he's inside. I didn't say that very good, but you know, the internal is a manifestation of the external is a manifestation of the internal. Man, I really screwed that up, but I coach you to those things. You can see the contact info in the description. You can pick up my training book. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscles, health improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset.